They say friendship and loyalty are cornerstones of a good life. But sometimes life throws you a curveball that makes you question everything you thought you stood for. I'm Vanessa, a 31-year-old event planner from Chicago, and I've always prided myself on my strong relationships and loyalty to the people I love. I thought my moral compass was unshakable. But then came a night that would challenge everything, and it all started with my best friend, Lily. Lily and I had been inseparable since high school. We shared everything, our dreams, our fears, our ambitions. So when she introduced me to Adam, her fiancé, I was thrilled for her. He was kind, intelligent, and most importantly, he adored her. They seemed like the perfect match, and I couldn't have been happier for them. But sometimes things are not as simple as they seem. The first few months after they got engaged, we all spent a lot of time together. Lily, Adam, and I became something of a trio, sharing meals, laughs, and stories from our respective lives. Adam fit right in, which only made Lily even more excited about their future together. I'd often catch her glancing at him with such adoration, and it made my heart swell with happiness for her. She was truly in love. But as their wedding date approached, Lily started getting increasingly busy with her work, taking on more hours and sometimes traveling out of town for projects. It was the nature of her job, and Adam was understanding. However, her absence meant that Adam and I were often left to hang out alone during events we'd all planned together. At first, it was no big deal. We'd grab a drink or a meal and discuss the details of the wedding, or share stories of the wild adventures Lily and I had experienced in our teenage years. But over time, something shifted. I couldn't quite pinpoint when or how it began, but there were little things, lingering glances, an extra second of eye contact, or a comment that felt loaded with meaning. I brushed it off, convinced I was imagining things. After all, Adam was my best friend's fiancé, and that boundary was something I could never, ever cross. One evening, after a long day of event planning, I received a text from Adam asking if I wanted to join him for a drink. Lily had been called out of town at the last minute, and he said he could use some company. It was an unusually personal text for Adam to send, but I figured he might just be feeling lonely. I told myself it was just a friendly outing. After all, he was practically family. I met him at a cozy bar downtown, one of those dimly lit places with an old-world charm and soft jazz playing in the background. Adam had already ordered drinks when I arrived, and he greeted me with a warm smile. "Vanessa, thank you for coming," he said, sounding genuinely relieved. "No problem. It's nice to unwind after such a hectic week," I replied, hoping to keep the atmosphere light. As we sipped our drinks, he opened up about the stresses he was feeling with the wedding planning, admitting that he sometimes felt neglected with Lily's busy schedule. I sympathized with him, but tried my best to remind him that these were normal pre-wedding jitters, and that once they were married, things would settle. The conversation was casual at first, but then he looked at me with an intensity I hadn't seen before. "You know, Vanessa, you're one of the few people who really gets me," he said, his voice soft. "Sometimes I feel like you understand me even better than Lily." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "Adam, you're just going through a lot right now. It's totally normal to feel that way." He shook his head. "No, it's more than that. You're always there, and you're so supportive. I can talk to you about things I can't with anyone else." I shifted uncomfortably in my seat, trying to find the right words. "Adam, I'm here for you because you're marrying my best friend. We're all in this together." He reached across the table, taking my hand in his, and I felt a jolt of electricity run through me. His gaze held mine, his eyes full of something I hadn't wanted to acknowledge. "Vanessa, have you ever thought that maybe we met under the wrong circumstances?" My heart skipped a beat, and I felt the room close in around me. "Adam, what are you saying?" "I'm just saying that sometimes I wonder what if. What if we had met first? I can't ignore how I feel when I'm around you. I'm so confused, Vanessa." I pulled my hand away, feeling a rush of guilt and fear. "Adam, stop. This isn't right. You're engaged to Lily, my best friend. This is a line we can't cross." He sighed, running a hand through his hair, clearly struggling with his emotions. "I know, and I hate that I'm putting you in this position. I don't want to hurt Lily, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel something for you. It's tearing me apart." I felt my chest tighten as I watched him, his face etched with a mix of sadness and longing. A part of me wanted to comfort him, to tell him that I felt it too. But the weight of loyalty and friendship held me back. I couldn't betray Lily like that. "Adam, we can't do this," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Lily loves you. She's planned her entire future with you. I can't be the reason that falls apart." He nodded, his expression conflicted. "You're right. I don't want to hurt her either. Maybe I just needed to get it off my chest." The rest of the night passed in a tense silence. We finished our drinks, exchanged an awkward goodbye, and went our separate ways. But I couldn't shake the feeling of guilt and confusion that lingered long after I got home. I had crossed an emotional line, and no matter how much I tried to convince myself it was innocent, I knew that things would never be the same. The following days were a blur. I threw myself into work, avoiding any situation where I might run into Adam. I felt like a traitor every time I saw Lily. Her face lit up with excitement as she talked about the wedding plans. The guilt was eating me alive. Then one evening, as I was getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed with a message from Adam. "Can we meet? Just to talk." I knew I should say no, that I should put distance between us for both our sakes. But against my better judgment, I found myself typing a response. "Sure. Where?" We agreed to meet at a small park on the outskirts of the city, away from prying eyes. The night was cool, and a slight breeze rustled the leaves as I walked up to the bench where Adam was waiting. He looked up as I approached, his face drawn with worry. "Thank you for coming." I sat down beside him, my mind racing with all the things I wanted to say but couldn't find the courage to voice. He took a deep breath, breaking the silence. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, "and I realized that I can't marry Lily while I'm feeling this way. It wouldn't be fair to her." My heart dropped, and I felt a surge of panic. "Adam, please don't do anything rash. You and Lily have something special. Don't throw it away over a moment of doubt." He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and longing. "This isn't just a moment, Vanessa. I've been lying to myself, trying to convince myself that it was just cold feet. But it's more than that. Being around you made me realize that I haven't been honest with myself." I shook my head, struggling to hold back tears. "Adam, this isn't right. Think of Lily. She deserves to be with someone who loves her without reservation, without doubt." He reached out, taking my hand in his thumb tracing gentle circles on my palm. "That's what I'm trying to do. I need to be honest, with her and with myself. I can't keep living a lie." I pulled my hand away, feeling a surge of anger and frustration. "And what about me, Adam? Do you think this is easy for me? Lily is like a sister to me. And now you're putting me in an impossible situation." His expression softened, and he reached up to touch my cheek. "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I never meant to hurt you or make things difficult. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore." As his hand lingered on my face, I felt my resolve begin to crumble. There was a part of me, a dark, hidden part, that wanted to give in, to let go of my guilt and be with him. But I knew that path would only lead to pain and betrayal. I took a step back, shaking my head. "Adam, we have to stop this. For Lily, for us, we can't keep playing with fire." He looked away, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "I understand. I'll talk to Lily. Maybe I just need some time to clear my head." We stood there in silence, the weight of our unspoken emotions hanging heavy in the air. I knew that I had to let him go, that I couldn't let myself be dragged into a situation that would only end in heartbreak. "Goodbye, Adam," I whispered, my voice barely audible. He nodded, his expression filled with regret. "Goodbye, Vanessa." I turned and walked away, my heart aching with every step. I knew that I had made the right choice, but the pain of letting go was almost unbearable. In the weeks that followed, I tried to rebuild my life, focusing on my work and distancing myself from both Adam and Lily. It was a painful process, but I knew that I had to let go in order to heal. And while the memories of that night would always linger, I knew that I had made the right decision. Sometimes, the hardest choices are the ones that define us. And in the end, I chose loyalty and friendship over fleeting temptation. Over the next few months, I poured everything into work, trying to drown out the emotional turmoil Adam's confession had stirred up. I also found myself pulling away from Lily, unsure of how to look her in the eye without feeling a pang of guilt. Every time she reached out, eager to share updates about the wedding, I found a reason to excuse myself or keep our conversations short. She noticed, of course. Lily had always been perceptive. One day while we were out for lunch, she finally confronted me about it. "Vanessa, what's going on? I feel like you're a million miles away," she said, her voice full of concern. "I miss you and, well, you've been acting so different lately." I looked at her, taking in the familiar warmth in her eyes, and guilt washed over me again. I knew I owed her honesty, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her everything. "It's nothing, Lily, just a lot going on with work," I lied, forcing a smile. "You know how things get." But her expression remained skeptical. "Vanessa, you're like a sister to me. You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" I nodded, swallowing back the emotions that threatened to spill over. "Of course, Lily. I'm always here for you." As the wedding day grew closer, I thought about whether I should confide in her about what had happened between Adam and me. But in the end, I decided against it. I knew it would only hurt her, and I couldn't bear the thought of shattering her happiness, especially now. Adam, too, had been keeping his distance. I'd heard from mutual friends that he was busy with work, preoccupied with the last-minute details of the wedding, but I knew the truth. We were both struggling to cope with the aftermath of that night. Finally, the day of the wedding arrived. I stood by Lily's side as her maid of honor, helping her with the final touches on her dress, fluffing the veil, and offering reassurances as the nervous excitement overwhelmed her. "You look beautiful, Lily," I whispered, genuinely moved by her joy. And she did. She looked radiant, the picture of happiness and love. She gave me a tight hug, her eyes brimming with tears. "Thank you, Vanessa, for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." I choked back my own tears, forcing a smile. I wouldn't miss it for the world. As the ceremony began, I took my place, watching as she walked down the aisle toward Adam, her face glowing with happiness. The love and admiration in her eyes were unmistakable, and as I glanced over at Adam, I saw him staring back at her with the same intensity. For a brief moment our eyes met, and I felt a surge of conflicting emotions: regret, relief, and the lingering ache of something left unspoken. But I knew, in that moment, that I had made the right decision. Whatever Adam and I had shared, it was over, and he was now committing himself to the woman he truly loved. After the ceremony, as the guests mingled and celebrated, I found myself standing alone by the garden, taking in the beautiful, bittersweet atmosphere. The weight on my chest had begun to lift, replaced by a sense of closure. And as I watched Lily and Adam dancing, laughing together in each other's arms, I realized something important. Life was about the choices we made, the lines we drew, and the sacrifices we were willing to make for the people we loved. In the end, I had chosen loyalty over fleeting passion, and while it had hurt, it was a decision I could live with. As I left the wedding that night, I felt a newfound sense of peace. I was ready to move on, to let go of the what-ifs and maybes, and focus on building a future filled with authenticity and integrity. Sometimes, that's the hardest lesson of all. To walk away, knowing that it's the right thing to do, even if it breaks your heart in the process. And as I took one last look at Lily and Adam, surrounded by family and friends, I whispered a silent goodbye to the past, finally ready to embrace the new beginning that awaited me. After a few days, life settled back into its usual rhythm, though I still felt a tinge of sadness whenever I thought back to the wedding. I had tried to keep busy, throwing myself into work, reconnecting with old friends, and pushing forward. But the distance from Lily felt like a void I couldn't fill, and it lingered in my heart. One evening, as I was unwinding after a long day, I received an unexpected knock on my door. To my shock, it was Lily, standing there with a look of raw vulnerability I hadn't seen before. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, her gaze sharp and almost accusatory. "Vanessa," she began, closing the door behind her. "I need to talk to you." I swallowed, feeling my stomach drop. "Of course, Lily. What's going on?" Her eyes, usually warm and full of trust, now held something darker. "I know, Vanessa. I know about you and Adam." The words hit me like a punch. I felt my heart race, my mind scrambling to process what she was saying. "Lily, don't," she interrupted, holding up a hand to stop me. "Just don't lie to me. I need to hear the truth from you." Realizing there was no point in hiding anymore, I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my guilt settle on my shoulders. Lily, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I didn't want to hurt you, I swear. It just happened. She crossed her arms, looking away as she tried to maintain her composure. I'm not here to scream at you or make you feel worse, Vanessa. I'm here because I needed to see you face to face and tell you that I've known for months. Her confession left me stunned. You've known? She nodded, her expression unreadable. Adam and I have had our own struggles. And when I started to notice the way he looked at you, I had my suspicions. I just never wanted to admit them. But Vanessa, he told me everything before the wedding. My mind was racing. Then why? Why did you still go through with it? Why didn't you say anything? Lily took a long, steadying breath, and when she looked at me, there was a hint of resolve in her gaze. Because, Vanessa, I made my choice. I chose to go through with the wedding because Adam and I have built a life together, and I believed in fighting for what we have. But that doesn't mean I can just forget about this. I wanted to give you the chance to be honest with me, and you didn't. Her words cut deep, a painful reminder of the line I had crossed. As the silence settled between us, she shook her head, her voice softening. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive you, Vanessa, but I came here because I needed closure, and to make sure you understand the consequences of your choices. You've lost me as a friend, and that's something we can't undo. Without waiting for my response, she turned and walked out, leaving me alone with the crushing weight of her words. I stood there in stunned silence, the reality of what I'd lost settling in. The pain was sharp, and the regret even sharper. I had made my choices, and now I had to live with them. In the end, I learned that some betrayals can't be undone, and some losses are permanent. And as much as I wished I could turn back time, I knew I could only move forward, carrying the lesson with me.